There were two types of soldier in the Roman army, the Roman legionary and the auxiliaries. The legionaries were the very best soldiers and the auxiliaries were actually non-Roman citizens. Legionaries wore an undershirt made of linen and a woolen tunic. The linen helped the soldiers to stay cool while the wool helped to trap heat, keeping the soldiers warm.
Domestic cats, though, are largely indoor huntless than outdoor cats because they don't have access to mice. In the wild, feral kittens are taught how to kill prey by their mothers. Domestic cats often fail to learn this skill, which is why you will see them playing with anything they catch. Or they may bring the mouse to you to kill.
More than half of cow feed is actually grass, and farmers call it hay and silage. While people often think dairy cows are fed a high-grain diet, in reality they eat the leaves and stems from corn, wheat and oats far more often than they are eating grain, like corn kernels.
The bone density test is painless and quick. It estimates how dense or thick your bones are by using X-rays. The X-rays measure how much calcium and minerals are in a part of your bone. The more minerals you have, the better, which means your bones are stronger, denser, and less likely to break.
Coffee is a beloved beverage known for its ability to fine-tune your focus and boost your energy levels. In fact, many people depend on their daily cup of coffee when they wake up to get their day started on the right foot. In addition to its energizing effects, coffee has been linked to a long list of potential health benefits, giving you more reasons to get brewing.
The body uses glucose as its main source of energy. Glucose comes from foods that contain carbohydrates, which is released and absorbed into the bloodstream after food is digested. The glucose in the bloodstream needs to move into body tissues so that cells can use it for energy. Excess glucose is also stored in the liver or converted to fat.
The sea breeze is one of the most frequently occurring small-scale weather systems. It results from the unequal sensible heat flux of the lower atmosphere over adjacent solar-heated land and water masses. Owing to the large thermal inertia of a water body, during daytime the air temperature changes little over the water while over land the air mass warms.
New York, North Carolina, and lower some of the intended destinations of cancelled flights that were supposed to leave from Southern California. Those areas are in the path of a winter storm that covered some neighborhoods with over a foot of snow and drenched others with freezing rain. On Monday,
During the Archean, methane droplets in the air shrouded the young Earth in a global haze. There was no oxygen gas on Earth. Oxygen was only in compounds such as water. Complex chemical reactions in the young oceans transformed carbon-containing molecules into simple, living cells that did not need oxygen to live. Instead, they made energy out of sulfur and other elements.
Although typically grown as a cash grain, winter wheaten provide most of the cover crop benefits of other cereal crops, as well as a grazing option prior to spring tiller elongation. Wheat also is slower to mature than some cereals, so there is no rush to kill it early in spring and risk compacting soil in wet conditions.
Biodegradable polymers have been used as carriers in drug delivery systems for more than decades. Early work used crude natural materials for particle fabrication, whereas more recent work has utilized synthetic polymers. The commercial success of these polymers has led to further research in the field aimed at bringing forward new formulation types for improved delivery of various small molecule and biologic drugs.
To thrive, cities must lean on nature. That means having open green spaces and interconnected waterways to prevent floods, green roofs and walls that reduce temperatures and produce food, and forests planted as green belts to oxygenate urban areas and regenerate ecosystems.
The outsized influence of rich countries on paleontology could lead to a warped view of life's history. The researchers say. Researchers studying large-scale trends in paleontology using resources are keenly aware that the fossil record is biased in myriad ways, including the age and type of rock in which fossils survive. But little consideration is given to the biases of the collectors themselves. A solar fuels generation research program is focused on hydrogen production by means of reactive metal water splitting in a cyclic iron-based redox process. Iron-based oxides are explored as an intermediary reactive material to dissociate water molecules at significantly reduced thermal energies.
A crew of scientists voyaged by ship from the southern tip of Chile into the frigid Antarctic to search for clues to one of the great unknowns of climate change. They plan to crisscross a remote patch of sea near the spot where, a year earlier, another crew had injected a tankful of an inert chemical 1 mile below the surface.
The mathematical language for talking about connections, which usually depends on networks, vertices, and edges, has been an invaluable way to model real-world phenomena. But a few decades ago, the emergence of giant data sets forced researchers to expand their toolboxes and, at the same time, gave them sprawling sandboxes to apply new mathematical insights.
Over the past 5 years, through studies of the simplest conceivable clocks, the researchers have discovered the fundamental limits of timekeeping. They've mapped out new relationships between accuracy, information, complexity, energy, and entropy. The quantity whose incessant rise in the universe is closely associated with the arrow of time.
Environment problems caused by hard rock mining involve water pollution by metals themselves, chemicals used in processing, acid drainage, and sediment. Metals and metal-like elements in the ore are toxic and prone to cause trouble by ending up in nearby streams and water tables as a result of mining operations. High-tech prosthetics allow amputees to engage more fully in everyday life, even to compete in sporting events. Researchers have demonstrated how brain activity is used to identify different terrains, level ground and stairs. For example, a key step in developing prosthetics that allow the user's prosthesis to automatically adjust to changing ground conditions in real time. Conservationists in New Zealand have come up with a novel way of raising money for one of the country's lesser-known endangered bird species by holding a race to see which male stitchbird, or hee-hee, has the fastest sperm. The Great Hee Sperm Race will pit samples from birds collected from 4 different hee-hee colonies, and donors can place a $10 bet on which of the 128 samples swims the fastest. China's biggest online search company, Baidu, said it would make its self-driving car technologies available to others, in a bid to advance autonomous vehicles and perhaps to become an industry standard in the same way that Google's Android operating system is for smartphones. Baidu's Apollo project will distribute technologies to developers and car makers, initially for use in restricted environments, as soon as July. The Founding Fathers established constitutional protections for the press because they understood that leaving the watchdog function to partisan politicians wouldn't necessarily serve the public interest. Both sides have too many incentives to preserve the status quo and ignore problems that elude quick fixes. By this time, however, paleontological momentum had moved to England. In 1812, at Lyme Regis on the Dorset coast, an extraordinary child named Mary Anning, aged 11, 12 or 13, depending on whose account you read, found a strange fossilized sea monster, 17 feet long and now known as the Ichthyosaurus, embedded in the steep and 17 dangerous cliffs along the English Channel. Training to become an actor is an intensive process that requires curiosity, courage, and commitment. You'll learn how to prepare for rehearsal, how to rehearse, and how to use independent and proactive processes to achieve your best work possible for stage and screen. To work effectively with the heterogeneous student populations found in our schools, educators have the responsibility of acknowledging the cultural backgrounds of their students and the cultural setting in which the school is located in order to develop effective instructional strategies. Many papers you write in college will require you to include quotes from one or more sources. Even if you don't have to do it, integrating a few quotes into your writing can add life and persuasiveness to your arguments. The key is to use quotes to support a point you're trying to make rather than just include them to fill space. Historically, what has been used to estimate bats has been photographic estimates, visual estimates, mark recapture estimates, and those have been highly prone to bias. Newer technology, like thermal imaging cameras, is accurate but expensive. So at a time of epic bat mortality, due to, for example, the fungal white nose syndrome that's wiping out bats in Canada and the US, Just about everyone on the planet wears at least one article of clothing made from cotton at some point during the day. Inevitably, byproducts of the plant show up as well in something that a person is doing. The source of cotton's power is its nearly terrifying versatility and the durable creature comforts it provides. Written examinations are a fact of life for most high school and university students. However, recent studies have shown that this traditional form of assessment may not be an accurate indicator of academic performance. Tests have shown that many students experience anxiety during exam weeks, which leads to poorer results. As a result, some learning institutions are replacing exams with alternative assessments such as group work and oral presentations. It is difficult to tell whether the speaker approves of Hemingway's lifestyle or not. He was famously macho and spent a lot of time hunting wild animals, going to wars and getting into fights. All these things got into his books, and the speaker thinks that this is not necessarily a good thing, as it means that too many people prefer reading about his life to his books. In classes, your teachers will talk about topics that you are studying. The information that they provide will be important to know when you take tests. You must be able to take good written notes of what your teachers say. Children need to discover their own strengths and weaknesses in order to find fulfillment as adults in both work and play. Watching television does not lead to these discoveries. It only limits children's involvement in those real-life activities that might offer their abilities a genuine testing ground. And young children's need for fantasy is gratified far better by their own make-believe activities than by the adult-made fantasies they are offered on television.